What's up, guys? Happy Friday. Welcome over to the DFS 5-Pack, starring Ryan Kostrowski and Matt Bellman here to talk a little NBA DFS. Much better looking slate tonight. I hate two-game slates, so hopefully you guys did well last night. The Bucks kind of get a big lead, and the other game going on to overtime was all I needed to go down the tubes.
Yeah, I made three lineups. I had one that like min cashed because I used Miles Turner in it. It was like the one lineup I used different pieces. I used Giannis all over. He was okay. Paul George was the guy you needed there. Again, I fell asleep really early, and seeing that game go to OT, I knew I was done.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Oh, well, didn't like that slate, didn't play for anything special. On to tonight. Man, did the Bucks just let Miles Turner just take open threes all game. You could tell from their defensive scheme last night. It's like, all right, we will just not cover Miles Turner. I don't know if he's ever taken double-digit three-pointers because they left him wide open all game.
Yeah, and I actually think that's a positive for Miles Turner going forward. Not like the point chasing, but just that he finally has some confidence back.
Agreed. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Now, I know my Bucks ended up winning last night, but the point I took out of that game is I wouldn't want to play the Pacers. I know that I've called them overachievers because I feel like they do a lot with not as much as some of the other teams. But that team could play some defense. They caught Milwaukee in a bad spot for them, losing 2 in a row, finally back at home. But man, can they D up? And they played hard last night. Both teams played really good defense. So I think they're number 1 and number 2 ranked defenses in the league. I mean, I just got to give the Pacers some credit because they really play hard.
Same. And another thing I took away from that game, it's not necessarily that game last night, but I don't know if you watched the halftime show at all. Charles Barkley, say what you will about him. He's making the point that Milwaukee's offense really struggles in the half court. I don't know the numbers to back that up, but it kind of makes sense. And it is a little worrisome to me, the game slowing down so much in the playoffs. I think the Bucks can overcome it because their team is so good, but it'll be interesting to see.
It depends. Does Chris Middleton play like last night?
Right.
Does Brook Lopez hit his threes? Because when they hit their threes, you can't stop them in the half court either, but they're not consistent with the 3-point shot. So we'll see. I'm hoping, but we'll see. And I don't know. The Eastern Conference is really interesting come playoff time because there's a lot of cases for a bunch of these teams. Either way.
I will say, though, just on that point, in my opinion, I think Toronto and Milwaukee are kind of separating themselves.
Maybe. I hope so, but I'm excited for the Eastern Conference playoffs because no matter what happens and who plays the Warriors, we should at least get some really quality NBA playoff basketball for us, the fans, to appreciate.
Most definitely.
All right, guys, so the Patreon drive is done for this round. Congratulations to Brandon Smith. I picked your name this morning. You were the winner. I don't know you. A couple of the other names I recognize, so I'll actually have to reach out to you separately and send you an email, but congrats, Brandon. And we're going to be doing this ongoing. We've had a lot of success the last couple of days, and it turns out people like this more than we would have realized, that you can get the members-only video for a small dollar donation or just by helping us out on social media. So here's the rules for today. We'll be talking about this every day going forward for at least now. Anybody who signs up at Patreon for a $2 minimum pledge, you get the video for the day. I will email it to you. You also get a 1 out of 8 opportunity to win a free month of service. So that is the best way because not only do you get the video, you also get the 1 out of 8 shot to win. Every time we get 8 registries, we'll pick a winner for the month of free service. Otherwise, if you don't feel like going through Patreon and you just want to do it quickly through Venmo or PayPal, those are the addresses right there. Pause this video. You should be able to get them. If you do send it via Venmo, you can follow up, or Matt will send you a direct message asking what your email address is to email the video. As far as getting the video for free today via social media, we did Twitter yesterday. We're going to go back to Facebook today. We have a Facebook business page called Ryan Kostrowski Fantasy Sports Advice. I started it a long time ago. I can't change the name. Facebook won't let me. I have a link to it below in the description section. Share today's video. You should be able to find it there with the caption, if you play fantasy sports, you should be following this page and you can get the video for free.
Love it, man. I know I would do it if I wasn't a partner in the 5-Pack.
And I advise following up with me when you share it on Facebook. It's just the easiest way to make sure that it was noticed. All right, guys. Patreon info we've talked about. And one last thing before we jump into today's picks. I will be running a bunch of fantasy baseball leagues, $100 buy-in on ESPN. Hit me up if you're interested and we can discuss details.
Sounds good.
All right. So there's a game that the next 3 picks are going to get pulled out of, and that will be our favorite game of the night to target from a DFS perspective. But like this guy, I don't know about you because we haven't talked this over, but Andre Drummond just flat out jumped off the page to me when I saw him today. under 9K against the Bulls. To me, this seems like an Occam's razor play of the day. Just kind of a slam dunk, easy play. So the Bulls allow the 5th most DFS points to centers. We know they are a top target from a DFS perspective out there. Drummond's gone for 40 plus at 9 of 10. While you want a little more than 40 on a salary of 8,800, if he gets you 40, he's not killing your lineup, and he's beaten that in 9 of the last 10 games. In the game he didn't, they beat your Cavaliers by about 1,000, and he didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. So there was a logical reason why he didn't do that. He's hit major GPP value in 6 of 10. The last time he met up with the Bulls, he went for 19, 20, 2, 2, and 4 in 29 minutes. So had a monster game without even getting anywhere close to his full normal run. And here we got 2 teams playing pretty well. With the game in Chicago, I expect this to be a competitive game. The Bulls just went, wire to wire with the Pacers, beat the Philadelphia 76ers. I expect a good effort out of them tonight.
Yeah, it's hard not to look at Drummond here. He didn't jump off the page like he did for you because I just don't like him as much as you do here, but I don't have any reason why not. He's firmly in play for me. He's rock solid. Bulls give it up to against big men. I got nothing bad to say about him here. I think that he's a great building block if you want to go there. He doesn't seem like he's the must for me that he is you, but that's okay.
Here's a question for you from a sports betting angle, since you do a lot more of that than I do. Do you expect this game to be competitive? I don't care who wins, just is it going to be competitive for 4 quarters?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I care about, because Drummond, really the only times Drummond doesn't hit value is blowouts, which we can't control, but that's the question we ask here. And does he get into foul trouble, which is an issue that he has. A lot of times when he gets 38 as opposed to 48 or 50 is because he is a bit of a hack and he does get into foul issues. I don't expect that here, but I also can't control that. That is probably his number one issue.
Yeah, he makes a lot of sense here. And he's playing good ball. He's in one of the better stretches of his career. I get it. Certainly I get it.
All right, next up, we are going to shift over to, and again, we haven't talked the slate over yet together because you worked out this morning and I slept in a little bit, but I have a feeling based on your picks and one of my picks that we're going to get into, this is a game that we want to target with pretty good regularity.
Yeah, I like this game a lot. I like the Charlotte side more than the Washington side, but I like pieces from Washington also. And look, talked about Kaminsky a couple slates ago when he was on the members only video, but he's firmly back in the rotation. Their Coach Borrego, made it a point to say that they're kind of shortening down their rotation, and that Kaminsky, he really liked what he had seen from him, and he's going to remain a big part of it. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist is like out of the rotation, seeing DMP coaches' decisions. One other guy is too that's like slipping my mind. Maybe it's not Biombo, but one other guy is like not playing anymore either. So Kaminsky is just back in the rotation. He's an aggressive guy. We've seen this, in past seasons. When he gets run, he's a guy that can put up DFS points because he shoots a lot of threes and he rebounds. Again, he's still under 4K. Big Ben versus Washington. I'm gonna ride this because he's had 25 plus in 3 straight. And I was all over him last time, and he was really solid in the second half. Had 20 in the second half. I don't know. Do you have anything to add here?
So I view this a lot like the way you viewed Harkless over the past 2 weeks. That we know who Frank is, and you kind of feel like eventually it's going to come crashing down. And that, that happened for Harkless last night, and we were wrong about him. But it doesn't mean that you weren't right on him the 5 games directly before that. And you know what? A 5 out of 6 success rate is pretty good. So that's kind of how I look at Frank. But your points about how the coaches really said he's part of the rotation does make me like him more. And the other thing is here, it's Washington. We love picking on Washington right now. They are the new Hawks. They play no defense. They move really, really fast. Everybody scores well against them. We just saw Dwight Powell go ham. We saw Luka with his best game in forever. I mean, the Washington Wizards are a team I target nightly. And if you're telling me he's part of the rotation and he's been playing about 20-ish some minutes every single game over the past 3 and averaging 26 points, I don't like it as much as you do. But in this specific spot, I would like him a lot more than if we were trying to say, let's go after Boston or Toronto right now.
Yes. Okay. And I'm glad you brought up the Harkless comparison because obviously I thought about that the other day when I talked about Kaminsky, and I thought about it again today. Only difference in my eyes is Harkless is a better real-life NBA player, in my opinion, a little bit. we know who he is in the sense that he always gets decent run, and he never usually gets like over 15 DK points. Just had the best stretch of his career. Kaminsky just never gets any run. Like if I know it's not guaranteed, but with the coaches saying that he's part of the rotation, like if he's getting 20 minutes, I mean, I think it's probable that he gives you decent value at this price.
He's got, if not the best matchup in the NBA, one of the best matchups right now. Washington, Atlanta, Sacramento. Know your teams to pick on and make it easy on yourself. And Washington is, if not the best, one of the top 3 places to go for DFS points right now. So that's why it's really easy for me to buy in on pretty much anybody on Charlotte who's going to get run today.
Yeah, I love picking on Washington like you do. It's like I think one of our main spots to go to. And why would we change here? I love this game a lot. And as an early game, I think the early games are getting less and less ownership because people are so worried about late news coming out. I love this game.
Yeah, there's a lot to like in this game, which brings me right into my next pick. And I'll start by saying that, and you know this, Matt, I'm rarely a Kemba guy. So if I love Kemba today, that should tell you something that it probably makes a lot of sense because I almost never bring up Kemba Walker to you.
No, you never do. I think he's going to be really popular on this slate. I was already thinking that before you messaged me. I mean, honestly, it's kind of like last night with Lillard, but even more so because against Washington, like he's 8K. What's not to like here?
So from all the factual standpoints, I mean, it just adds up right here. Washington gives up the 5th most DFS points to point guards, and that's been on the rise throughout the season. So, I mean, you could probably say it's top 3. This game has got a 235-ish total and kind of projected to be close. Washington's playing a lot of close games. Charlotte is way more consistent at home. These teams are pretty evenly matched. I expect it to be a competitive game. No, you can't guarantee it's going to be competitive because, like, if you watch the 2 games last night, it's just good examples of NBA games. Portland and OKC, they were back and forth all game. That game was really close, hence it went to overtime. Indy and Milwaukee were competitive, like real competitive in the first half, and then Indy just hit a slump in the third quarter. Milwaukee turned it on late, and they lost about 4 or 5 minutes. I mean, that can make a difference. I expect this one to be wire-to-wire competitive, similar to the Portland Trailblazers and Thunder last night. Doesn't mean it won't be turned into a 20-point discrepancy somewhere in the 4th, but that's not what I'm going for. I expect competition.
Yeah, both these teams trying to make the playoff. Yeah, I mean, you even have that listed there. So I'm with you, man. I'm not really a big Kemba guy. Go ahead.
I was just saying he's averaging 37 real-life points in 2 contests versus Washington this year.
Yeah, I'm not even like a huge Kemba guy either. Probably bigger than you. But, man, he could be 9K here, like legit, and he'd be in play. He wouldn't be like a must, but he'd be firmly in play at 9K.
Right, and while Kemba does have some letdown games, his letdown games are usually like into the low to mid-30s, which while that is not a help tonight and that would be a detriment to you making money, it's probably not – you can probably overcome it, especially based on what you said that he's likely very, very popular tonight. I mean, I expect him to be at least 40, if not 60 or 70% owned in cash games.
Seriously, he's going to be – for a big slate like this, he's going to be really popular because he's way too cheap.
Yeah, and it just makes a lot of sense. Based on this matchup, like you said, he could be 9K. And while I think we've been pushing the Washington narrative a little bit longer than some people, I mean, the DFS public to this point is not unwise to this. They get it. Washington gives it up.
Definitely. I mean, it kind of makes no sense. I know he hasn't had back-to-back good games recently, but he's the cheapest he's been in over a month since they played Memphis. And
maybe in his best spot.
Yeah, right? Like, that just doesn't add up.
So I got a couple of guys in like this, 7 to 9K range I like today, and he's definitely a building block for me, which moves us into our last pick. And I guess the only thing that we can say about him is he's definitely the definition of a GPP play. But if you think he's going to go off today, play him because he's got like 7 times upside value in like 7 to 10 games. The 2 bad games, the single-digit performances, I used them both times, so that kind of sucks. And I know the downside of Jabari, but he's been mostly good. And just to point out that one of his bad games was against Charlotte.
Yeah. Listen, it's definitely a GPP play, and it's just a guy that kind of wanted to bring up. I gave you a couple guys that I was deciding between. I'm glad you brought up Parker because I think it's just a good talking point. So, he's got big-time upside the past 2 games, and now his price is like right in the middle. He has a price decrease after just putting up 35. It's risky because you don't know what you're going to get. But I like this game a lot. Not really sure I want to pay up for Bradley Beal. I think he's in play. I'm just not sure I want to pay up there. Man, Parker is getting good run. I don't know why he scored, single digits in those games. And it is a little cause for pause that he had 9.3.
I watched both of them, and he missed early shots, and he got unaggressive, which is not untypical of Jabari Parker. I will say that every time he goes out there, he's got about a 20-25% shot of just laying a brick because it's just who Jabari Parker is.
I mean, this dude has a game log, a 3-game stretch from earlier, late January, where he went 45 against the Bulls, 2 against the Bulls, and then 43 against Cleveland. That's insane.
So the upside is beyond legit. I mean, that
10X.
tells you right there. 7X and 7 to 10, though. I mean, that's big time. And for those of you guys who maybe don't like the numbers as much or maybe newer to DFS, when we say 7Xing, it means 7 times. You got a 50,000 salary. If you go 7 times on everybody, you're at 350. And even on big days, 350 does damage. On a night like last night, which I don't even think it was possible, 350 wins GPPs.
Yeah, it probably wasn't even possible. But I'm with you, man. It's kind of like how I like to play. And for a guy with that upside, he's just too cheap because, if he gives you 40 here, I mean, in a GPP, you're setting yourself apart.
Now, the downside and the devil's argument right here is the fact that his bad games are super bad. And I want to think that the last time I played him against Charlotte, that I had like 7 guys all do their job, but fell a few points short because he was a complete and total utter failure.
Yeah,
so
he will kill you.
Yes, and if he doesn't, but if he plays well, he's a big part of why you're winning. And I think a lot of people look at him with trepidation, and that's why he doesn't get the run or the percentage ownership he should, based on how many times he's putting up GPP value for Washington. Because when he doesn't play well, he legitimately is the reason you lose.
Yeah, it's tough to get by. It's tough to get by a single digit performance unless the guy's like between 3K and 3,500, or
everybody owns him, or your other guys absolutely ball. But yeah, it's a killer.
It hurts.
So if he goes out tonight and puts up 8 DK points, we're warning you. It is definitely a possible option. That is who Jabari Parker is. The good side, though, like on a very, very regular basis, he is absolutely destroying his price tag.
Yep.
So proceed with caution. Know the risk, but if you like taking a few risks, I mean, put it this way. If you told me that I had to pick a guy to go 7 times value today, or, something bad was happening, he would be on my short list of guys to choose that for.
Yeah, I get that. Man, it's definitely a question mark. And again, don't play him in cash games.
But if you think he's going to ball, though, I mean,
why though? You don't even need that in cash games, though. Like, you don't care. Like, and this is just strategy talking. I don't play cash games, so I'm more like asking as opposed to telling. But like, it's great if Parker gives you that like 7X value, but the downside much outweighs the upside in cash games, because who cares if he gets you 4? Like, much rather have a guy in cash game that is guaranteed for 28 at this price.
Sure, but if he 8Xs in cash games, that could be the only play you need to make money.
Yeah, I get that, but like, I just feel like it's too risky.
Yeah, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. Like, I definitely see the issue with him in cash games, but you also got to be willing to risk it to win that biscuit. And sometimes you got to play those guys who you feel like are going to give you upside. And if you only ride like low, high floor chalk plays, like you got to throw at least one guy in there, I think, every night that gives you an opportunity to give you like real value, who can single-handedly win it for you. So I'm not saying I'll play him, but I'm not totally against him in cash games because he is crushing more than he's not.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's a personal preference thing. We all play differently. And that's one of the fun parts about this game.
Definitely.
And I don't want to be recency bias in the fact that I've screwed him up twice. Doesn't mean tonight's the night he's going to screw up.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I don't know. Either ways, guys, thanks for watching. Thumbs up is always appreciated. Sub to the channel if you haven't done it yet. And if you want the members only video, guys, you know how to get it.
Thanks, guys.